when I go into schools and do talks and kids will say to me, oh, I don't know what I should do as a career. My formula is this. What is the thing that you are really good at and the thing that you enjoy doing? Now, it sounds simple, but when you think about it, there'll be things that you enjoy doing, but you're not really good at. And there'll be things that you're really good at, but don't really love it. So for me, it was basketball and football. I loved football. I was like, okay for the school team, and even then I was on the bench. Basketball was the other way around. I was really good at basketball, but I didn't love it. So I said to people, what's the thing that you enjoy and the thing that you're good at? Put them together, that's what you're supposed to do.
Tuesday, yeah. Today, you know what's funny? I normally play football today.
Do you?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm mad for getting frustrated this year. So I'm the one that normally organises it. I'll book the pitch. I got it. Said, oh yeah, of course. You know what I'm like already.
That's his thing.
So I do the block booking in it, and I'm always telling these, like, all you have to do is pay your £10 in it. And what happens is that we play on a Tuesday. When it gets to Monday, now everyone's like, oh yeah. No, I'm gonna play. I told them they're not gonna refund me if I don't get this money
In time.
within 24 hours. So if we don't get the money, I'm cancelling. So I cancelled it yesterday, and today everyone's saying, "No, I want to play," and there was no football today. And it's almost that I'm annoyed that because I couldn't play today, innit?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't play, no one played football, and that annoys me. It's like they're the ones that are missing out on football, but I'm annoyed that why do you need me to get it done?
Yes.
It jars me.
Sort yourselves out, bro.
Nah, come on, bro.
Sort yourselves
You're
out.
an enabler. Don't try it.
Why?
You're a man that does everything.
Is the man chatting lies?
No, he's a man that does everything.
Okay.
So if you're with somebody that does everything, you get to a point where you
rely on them.
You rely on them. You've made everyone rely on you.
I haven't made them rely on me. You know what it is? I've made it clear that, cool, I've got to work out what 14-man payments are doing. All you need to do is pay your £10. All you have to worry about is you. Mm-hmm. These guys can't worry about themselves. They can't get it done.
You ain't got a deputy. You ain't got this is what you do. The same thing I told you, the business. He does everything with his business. Bro, you got to have...
Talk about a VA. My last VA lasted like 4 hours.
4 hours and he got rid of it. Because he loves everything. He's so specific in how he wants stuff done. I'm like, bruv, you've got to empower other people. Like, even if you're doing this thing, you've got to have someone else that's booking the football with you. So you know when you're not there, there's someone else. They're used to having somebody else. Not every time you.
But I hear it though, 'cause I'm like you. I'm the same. I'm the France can tell you as well. That's how I am. But Eman's right. At some point, you've got to learn to delegate and just trust. You got to just trust. And if it messes up, you got to be cool with that.
The only person I trust is my wife to get stuff done, other than me.
I hear that.
And it's also because she can't do nothing wrong either. You know, these things
I don't know if... I don't know if
how these things go.
I hear it.
I don't know if man just said that just for the podcast. I don't even know. I don't know how genuine that was. I'm not.
Yeah, but you didn't hear part two. You didn't hear part two.
Nah.
The reason why I trust her to do it is because she can't do anything wrong.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
What is
She
understood
watches,
doesn't need
right?
to be explained.
Okay.
Exactly.
Them ones.
Facts.
Say no more.
But yeah, man, it's good to be recorded, man. It's good to be here. But I feel like sometimes it's hard. Do you know, like, I don't know if you ever get it. I get this thing where I feel to myself, I can't be motivated anymore. You see, like, I remember when I was younger, I used to listen to, like, motivational speeches. Obviously, when Eric Thomas started, I used to love Eric Thomas and Gary Vee. And I'm at the stage, bruv, it's just got to get done. There's no motivation. It's not, I can't be motivated. I've just got to be disciplined. I'm just at the point where this is what I've got to do. Forget my feelings, get it done. And I feel like it's a level that a lot of people just won't understand.
I was going to disagree with what you're saying, but then I think that I want to kind of tweak what you're saying. I think what you're actually saying is that you don't need to be motivated anymore. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Because I just came off a weekend of being... I don't need to be motivated, but I just came off a weekend of being motivated because it was my wife's birthday. I booked an Airbnb somewhere, but it was at some guy's crib, yeah, that it was like the west wing of his crib. Wow. Crazy, had some massive swimming pool room with like some 80-inch
with the television.
Bro, I was watching
the game.
Watching United draw against Bournemouth.
In the pool. He was in the pool. The television was there.
Steam room, swimming, come on. Everything. But this guy wasn't hosting to make money. He was hosting as a hobby. Like, he's basically retired, isn't it? I'm trying to say. I don't want to talk his business too much, but you know, with me, if I'm staying somewhere like that, I've portioned. When I deep toiled this, I got to the place, there was the tennis court. I make sure I carved out my day to reason with my man.
Come on.
I carved out, but I said I can't be.
Let's have a little chat. Let's have a
We
little
have
chat.
to reason. So I reasoned with him for a good 2 hours, and basically, like 5 years ago, like he just made these M's, like 20 M's, M'd off in it through some business in it, some good business in it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And the reason why I was thinking that is because that motivated me. But I hear you in that. You're at the stage, and I get what you're saying, that not a lot of people get it, but you don't actually need to be motivated to get busy. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
You're not waiting for the motivation. You're just like, I know I've got to get done. Get it done.
Get it done.
Just get it done.
Just get it done. But sometimes it just feels like it's funny because like even like coming here, I was tired. I get here, I see you guys, and I'm like,
The vibe.
I'm happy.
The vibe
Like, I'm not
kicks
even
in.
tired no more.
You
The
already
vibe
know.
kicks in.
Like, and it's like one of them things where this is why for me, one of the key things that's more important than money is working with people that you like actually enjoying the company that you keep. Like, because for me, there are certain contracts. I know like certain companies that I know if I work with you now, you're gonna tell me put on a suit and tie. You're gonna be telling me can't say this. You can't.
You're gonna drag down my soul.
I don't want the check. I'd rather not have
About
it.
that bare times getting jammed up inside where it's like, I wish I never started this. It's long.
And life is too short. Life is too short to be, I do lots of talks at schools and prisons and colleges. And I say to people, you spend way too much of your adult life working to do something you don't enjoy. Now that is also, there's a level of privilege that comes with that as well. Some people just have to work in a supermarket. Some people have to clean. I get it. But if you don't have to do that job, why are you doing that job? What, because it gives you 10 grand more a year? But you're miserable.
But you're unhappy.
You're waking up vexed. Who wakes up vexed? I gotta go work. No. It's like, bruv, your face is always crease up because you hate your job. And if you hate your job, that will impact on how you treat your kids and your mum and your friends, and you're always miserable. Do a job that you enjoy.
It's crazy.
Gives you fulfillment.
Sorry to jump in, but it's crazy because what you're saying is such facts. And I think that one thing that we don't do, and it sounds so simple, we don't spend enough time discovering what actually makes us happy. What actually, I don't want to use the word happy, I want to use joy.
Yeah.
Because
the
joy
word.
is different
Say
to
it
happiness,
again.
you know?
Yeah.
It is.
Joy is
It
different.
actually
If you've
is.
Yeah.
actually felt joy,
Joy,
joy
yeah.
is different to happiness. What actually gives us joy? And I think that those are the things that we need to focus on, because then it will start making you decide whether you want to take that job or that promotion and so on and so forth, basically.
And we don't, because we get distracted. We get distracted by money, material things, practical things that we think give us joy.
Yeah.
But they make us happy.
Yes.
But there's no joy in that. And if we focus on what gives me joy, what really touches me and gives me purpose, and we focus on that, we'd realize that all these things over here that we've been doing or chasing, actually, it's short-term happiness. Absolutely. It's what makes me feel joy. You're totally right. It's my favorite word, joy, because it's really, really underrated, and it's not really fully understood what it really means. And when you apply it to the working context, you get to understand that actually, I need to find what is it that I want to do every single day that gives me joy and pays me. We've got bills to pay, right? It can't, none of us are like billionaires.
But you discover that first.
100%.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
And then the money comes.
money is the option, is the tool that gives you the option.
Totally.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? I always say that some people, and I was one of them, and that's where I can speak from experience. I used to say, like, his jokes, I used to say that I got no passion, my passion is making money. Ridiculous. That's what I used to say. Literally, it's bad, man. It's like built in. Like, I used to say, I got no passion, my passion is making money. And it's like, and for that reason, it's like I forget about
That's
them all the
quite
time.
sad.
But it's sad.
That's quite sad, actually.
It's sad.
That's
And you know
quite
what it is? And on top of that, I started doing all different businesses as well. None of them like crazy or anything, but all of these businesses that you've seen online, believe me, I've tried all of them. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it was that kind of like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was just trying to make a buck, basically.
Bro, was you
And then
selling tea? Was you selling the
No, I haven't done that one.
them, you know them, bruv.
I haven't done
See
that
them
one.
people, I block you, fam.
Selling tea, that
Slimming tea and that.
Slimming tea.
Leave me to stay fat. Don't send me no
Slimming
tea.
tea.
And now you're bothering me. Come to this meeting.
Because the assumption is that everyone wants to be slim.
Log on to this Zoom. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Selling hook.
Leave me and my Tetley. You understand? That's the only tea man drinking.
literally. But yeah, a long list, and I think that there was. I thank God that this passion of mine, or of mine and Antoinette's, which is helping people with their property and finance. Thankfully, and Eman, you just say thankfully it pays, in it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But I think that going back to the point I was making is that you kind of just got to focus on what makes you happy, and then use money as the route to get there, rather than focusing on the money. Because if you focus on the money, you're just gonna be, you're never gonna really be happy. Like, it's mad.
No, you won't. And then you see people, and we often hear this this kind of example used, but people talk about some of my richest friends are the most unhappy people that I know because they've realised that I've got the boat or the cars or whatever it may be, but actually
There's always so extra. It's funny, I spoke to a really, really, I know we're talking about rich people, it was so weird, but I spoke to a really, really wealthy person recently, innit? And they went through a transition, a point in their life where they had all of the supercars. They had all of the supercars, innit? They got to a point now where they're really just doing charitable work and property is paying their bills and then some, innit? And they're just so much happier now. And what the wealth has allowed them to do is give them time to do the things they love, spend with their family. You know, like, just going, you're spending the majority of your day going away doing charitable work, like helping the church or whatever it may be, basically. And that's where you focused on happiness and joy, basically.
Yeah, man. Well, I think that's a great way to start the pod. So welcome to the Bread and Butter podcast. Listen, you've heard his voice, yeah? Listen, I don't even know how to intro this guy and what this guy means to me. Let me try, just a little. So, number one, this brother gave me my first ever viral moment ever. If you guys, I don't know if you can find the clip, we'll put it into the podcast for those that watch on YouTube. And then finally, it's about my parents can't help me. That one really gets on my nerves because, again, a lot of our parents are first generation. So your parent can't maybe not give you money, but they're now letting you live rent free. So all that money that you're making, that's a resource. Yeah. So your parents are giving you the only resource they have, which is allowing you to stay at that home for free. And you're spending it buying £200 bottles of Moët that you know are £40 in the club, and then you're pouring it on your watch. This is the guy, and obviously Francis was there as well. But that's my first ever viral on social media moment ever in life. And that was like, time ago. And that was when I learned that from doing that podcast, that's when I learned my style, if that made sense. Because before that, I was always reading scripts. And that was the first time that I just sat down and was myself. And then we cut clips out of it. And it just went mad. This guy literally, like, for what he does, is the most humblest person I know. For someone that is doing absolute bits in life in general. And always got time for people. I remember phoning him, telling him, listen, I'm an ambassador for this charity, young black kids in Brixton, called Step Now. And I'm like, they want the kids to get some exposure to the television for in the summer, because basically what they do is they provide stuff for the summer for kids so that in the summer they don't end up getting recruited into gangs because they're just not doing anything. So they provide activities during the summer. And I called him and he was like, yeah, we're doing it. Boom. Gave them all. Till this day, these kids still talk about that moment. And, you know, he is a perfect example of somebody that rose, not just for himself, but for his community. Yeah. So it's one of those things, like, for me, I always use him as an example to say that whatever fame or whatever I get to, it's not for me. My position is for my community. I'm here so that my community has an access point. Now, our community can take liberties because they'll just treat you anyhow, talk to you anyhow, DM you anyhow, because we're too comfortable as people. Do you know what I mean? But he takes it on board and really is somebody who creates spaces. In regards to what he's done in regards to his platform, Blakademik, my goodness, we'll talk about it today. But when we're talking about a media platform that is highlighting some of the best talent, black talent, both behind the camera and in front of the camera, to the point where now broadcasters and production companies are using them to create actual content, television type content. To me, like, there's no other. And then one of the things I really love about him, and I never tell him this, is his hair. And the reason is,
it's looking kind of messy today.
The reason is that I remember when I worked in the bank, everyone that had plats, they told you if you want to get to senior level, you have to cut your hair. And he is one of the only people I know to be in a senior national television position and keep his hair and keep his style and keep his voice. He hasn't changed it. He's the one, the only, Jordan Jarrett-Bryan.
Love my G. Wow.
We need to clip that up. put some motivation.
That's my alarm. Listen, my brothers give me an alarm clock in the morning. That's going to work every morning. No, listen, first of all, before we get into it, I'm really glad to be here. So thank you for the invite onto your podcast. love to you both, and I've got lots of questions I want to get put to you two because I'm learning from you guys as well. And I don't just say that to kind of do the humble thing. I genuinely mean that. But it was a blessing having you on that episode, which was 7 or 8 years ago. And as much as you say it was your first viral moment, you benefited my platform too. So it'd be selfish and wrong of me to not acknowledge that as well. You gave our audience, to this day, that video does numbers still, and people still comment on it because of what you, not only what you said, but how you said it. You mentioned then you were just yourself. That's what people like, and that's why you've blown. Both of you have blown because you're not trying to be someone you're not. Yeah. So as much as you're putting the praise on me for that episode, my job is to just give a platform for people that know their stuff, whether it's in property, finance, medicine, media, whatever it may be, because I realized that in my job, I've got to a certain level and I've done all right. But at the top, it's...
Said all right. He tried to speed past it. Like and he heard me as well. Said I done all right. Award winning, by the way. Award winning.
I just meant now it's more about, okay, but what about everybody else? Because I know the potential of black people. So I'm like, why am I the only person in this newsroom? And you know where I got it from? Just kind of, and I'll shut up. The whole thing of like bringing other people up and bringing people in, I got it from my dad. So my dad is a DJ and record label owner and club promoter. And for many years, I've seen my dad bring through new talent and platform them on his events, on his shows, and just be my dad is still in the scene where he is now, even at his big age of 60, because other people that are younger respect and recognize that guy brought through so-and-so. That guy brought... He didn't have to. He didn't have to do that, but he did it because he's like, well, why wouldn't I? You're talented. Let me bring you in. And that's where I got my same ethos from of just because you're in the dance doesn't mean why can't you bring other people into the dance as well? So Blakademik, and hopefully we'll get into it later on, has been all about platforming my people in all their guises. So whether you're a footballer or a rapper or you're a surgeon and you're an entrepreneur, whatever it may be, it's the plethora of black people that I want to showcase and bring up. And you mentioned Francis behind the camera, and my guys at Blakademik as well. They're not all black, but it's a black-owned company. So I decide who works on this business. Do you know what I mean? So love, man. Big intro. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No, definitely. And I just thank you for coming, number one, because I know you're busy. I know how it is. I know how it is out there, and we're all busy. And I appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. Like I feel I mean it, because sometimes I feel like we are too friendly, and I get it a lot. I don't know about you, I get it a lot. People see me on TV. Eman, can you come and talk in my church on Sunday? And it's like, brother, it's Saturday. You don't even know me.
I don't know you.
You don't even know me. And you're like, do you understand? Like, and then they'll be like, oh, like, do you have a budget? Oh, we don't have a budget. Like, it's like, if you were calling any one of these other people that were non-black that do what I do, you, man, would have gone to the bank and got a loan, whatever, to get them in. Like, you would do it all, but we are so...
Respect me.
We're so comfortable. So I need you to know that I don't...
No, man, this is you guys. It's you guys, man. Not everything's about money. We're chatting just off camera. Not everything has to always be about money, right? Sometimes it's about doing things that are, first of all, just enjoyable, but also important. I feel like this is important without kind of putting too much of a, self-congratulatory position on ourselves and self-importance on ourselves. I think what you guys are doing is important. So sometimes it's just to lend my voice to it and hopefully, do my thing. I'm glad to be here, man. So big up yourselves.
Bro, we can't wait to get into your story. But with the Bread About podcast, things are about money. So we're going to warm you up with a little money question. And then we're going to get into your story. Just so you know that there's going to be money talking.
No, I'm here, buddy. Let's do it.
So I'm going to give you one, just say this or that. Just one, this or that. So let's talk about retirement. Yeah? If you had to pick one, it's not a little bit of this and a little bit of that. If you had to pick one to solely rely on, pensions or property, what would it be? So, small portfolio of buy-to-let properties or a nice tidy pension?
Define a nice tidy pension.
How do we do it? Let's say that the income is slightly higher on the property, because the property is it's more work, isn't it? Yeah. So let's say that your public and private pension comes up to 4 bags net. Your property comes up to 6.5 net. You have to pick between the two.
Well, at the risk of sounding stupid amongst two experts here, I would lean towards the property. My logic being that people always need somewhere to live. Right. As in my property, or I have a second property?
No,
As in-
it's
as
a
in my-
portfolio
It's
of
a
income
portfolio of
of
properties
property.
Oh, I see.
Solely
Yeah.
investment property.
Yeah, so people always need somewhere to live.
Yeah.
So I can be 21 or 91. If I've got a property, I've got a means of making the money, sort of thing. Whereas the pension is gonna run out eventually at some point, right? So I would lean towards property. Is that the right answer?
There's no right answer.
There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
The pension.
What would you do?
It depends on.
That's the right answer. What would you do?
No, it depends on you. For some people, they want to be hands off, right? So if you don't want to have to deal with tenants, you don't have to deal with people potentially wrecking your house, people potentially, the gaps where there's might not be any people in there, or you don't have to deal with the government changing the rules like what they've done now, it's work. So as much as it's there, you know what I mean? If you don't want to have to deal with that, then the pension will give you that guaranteed income until you die. But the problem, like you said, is either if you live off the income and there's money left over, great, you can pass it, or it might run out. You might end up eroding it and taking it out. Whereas obviously with the property, it's there, and that's something that you can pass down and pass on, and potentially could be a kid's pension and so forth. So it all depends on which you prefer. Some people are very hands off when it comes to this type of stuff. They don't want to deal with the stress. They'd rather just know, I get this amount of money. I don't need to worry. I don't need to talk to no one. I can chill.
This is my cruise money.
You understand? Exactly. I
This
can
is
be
my
anywhere in the
cruise
world
money.
and I'll get
You
this
see
money
that
and it's
cruise?
coming in.
I
Yeah.
hear
That 365-day cruise that they're doing nowadays, the one that goes around the country for a year.
You hear that? It's cheaper than a care home.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a cruise. Remember they cancelled it. They ran it oversold, but so they ended up cancelling. But there was basically this cruise. The price of the cruise was cheaper than what people would pay for a care home for the whole year. So a lot of elderly people booked onto the cruise.
Of course they did.
To just go around the world for a year.
For a year.
But then he ended up. They didn't have enough boats.
The demand was too big.
The demand was too much. They didn't have enough boats, and They ended up. Company collapsed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, real talk.
Sorry.
But it's a great idea, though. If you can make it happen, the demand is there. If you can make it happen.
I love that.
And for the people at home, like, definitely consider a bit of both. If it's pensions and property, property might not be your bag. I think I'm Nigerian in it, so it's like I can't survive without a little bit of wahala. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
a little bit of I need this.
argue with somebody.
Things can't be too peaceful. You need a little bit of get me. Otherwise, we're not functioning properly. So but yeah, bro. Let's go into your story, man. So take us back to where it all started, because obviously now today, Channel 4 sports broadcaster.
Yeah, man.
Veteran journalist.
I feel like a veteran. When I look like all those grey hairs, I definitely look like a veteran. My journey was basically, in a nutshell, I always loved sports. Always was passionate about sports from 5, 6, running around playing sports. Fast forward to kind of primary into secondary. The only thing I was really good at school was sports, playing sports, so PE and English. Rubbish at maths, rubbish at science, rubbish at history. Geography I was quite good with that, but it was I enjoyed writing. So by the time, and I knew that I was good at writing, and writing was for me, because I remember in year 5 in secondary school, when all my brethren were bunking off, checking girls in the nearest girls' school around the corner, big up St Saviour's, all them kind of South. I was early for my English lesson. Like literally, I was there before the teacher got there.
So he was enjoying it as well.
Oh man,
So
I was glad to be there. Yes, I was like, right, when my brethren are bunking and I'm here early, that's a sign to say to me, this is what I enjoy doing.
Do you know what, I'm just going to jump in. Do you know what, that's interesting, because I know a lot of us growing up, there were things that we knew we were good at. You know, when your parents say, he's brilliant. But we're not applying ourselves, innit? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because we don't necessarily enjoy it. So it must have been like very, very nice to actually be good at it and enjoy it, because at that age, it's quite hard to enjoy anything like kind of like that will benefit you.
It's so true. And again, when I go into schools and do talks and kids will say to me, oh, I don't know what I should do as a career, my formula is this. And it crystallizes it so easily for me. What is the thing that you are really good at and the thing that you enjoy doing? Now, it sounds simple, but when you think about it, there'll be things that you enjoy doing, but you're not really good at. And there'll be things that you're really good at, but don't really love it. So for me, it was basketball and football. I loved football. That was crap.
Oh, that's me.
That was crap.
When you said it, that's the
That was
first
crap.
thing I was thinking about.
Let's be real. I was like, okay for the school team, and even then I was on the bench. But I loved football. Basketball was the other way around. I was really good at basketball, but I didn't love it. So I said to people, what's the thing that you enjoy and the thing that you're good at? Put them together. That's what you're supposed to do. So for me, English was the one thing, and writing, creative writing was the one thing that I enjoyed doing, but I was also really good at. So I just thought I'm going to lean into that. Finished secondary school, didn't get all my GCSEs because I was messing around. I was checking out a little bit and just being an idiot, really. You know what I mean? I wasn't focused. And then I remember there's a guy called Timothy in my year. I remember it vividly. I've got the worst memory on the planet, but I remember this vividly. Was at the school gates, all opening our GCSE results. And everyone go, oh, I got this. Some people were vexed, some people were happy. This guy, Timothy, he got a couple A's, couple B's, and I think a C. Timothy weren't that smart. I was smarter than all these people around me, but I think I got a B and a C in English, everything else C's and D's. And it then hit home to me that school isn't about who's the smartest. School is about who applies themselves the most. So Timothy was nowhere near as smart as me. I know that I'm more intelligent than Timothy, but Timothy was there after school and after study group clubs studying. Timmy went home rather than checking girls in girls' schools, Sacred Heart. He went home and read books. So when it comes, so that for me was when it first hit home to me that you've got to apply yourself, and you are smart, but smartness will only get you so far. Went to college, repeated my GCSEs, and at that point, I then came across a magazine that was based in Brixton called Live. It was a youth magazine, written by young people, for young people. Went along, said, look, I like writing, can I get involved? They said, yeah, cool. So I did a couple of album reviews, like 50 word reviews. I think it was 50 Cent's first ever album, PlayStation 1's first game. This was like way back then. Did a couple of very short reviews. 6 months later, they gave me the role as editor of the magazine. I was loving it.
Let's stop there. When
Sure.
you went and approached them, how old were you when you approached them?
I would have been 13. I was 13. Imagine. Yeah, I was 13.
Hey, you
Yeah.
were destined for this, boy.
I was
You're
13.
nah.
What?
13, what was I doing?
13.
I was on my CD and putting it back in the thing,
come
trying
on.
to play PlayStation 2.
Wow.
But yeah, and just before I turned 14, I got the role as editor of the magazine. I loved it. I just loved writing. I was good at writing. I had a really creative style for writing. My interest in wider media hadn't developed yet.
Okay.
It was just writing for me. I just enjoyed it.
Unpaid here.
At this point, yes, it was a free magazine.
Yeah,
that
14 years
just
old.
gave
I mean,
people
getting
money.
paid at 14.
Yeah,
Nuts.
it was just like experience. But I loved it. And then they got funding a year or two later from Lambeth Council. And then we kind of like the senior members of the team got a little money. It wasn't big money, but it was
Yeah,
a
of
little
course,
money.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Still doing college. Got an AS level. So it's half an A level because I wasn't really focusing on that because I was doing this media thing by now. So by the time I left, again, fast forward to 22, my portfolio that I'd had was buffered than some people that had 20-year careers. I'd had like 10 magazines that I edited, front covers. My claim to fame to this day still is I did the very first interview with Dizzy Rascal. It was the week before he won the Mercury Prize. And when I see him now, I don't know how, but he always points at me and he remembers me. I've seen him like 4 or 5 times since. And he always remembers like, yeah, this is not my name, but you're the guy from Live Magazine. I'm like, yeah. So I had a buff portfolio of work. So my attitude was, don't really need schooling, because I'm kind of nice here. I'm all right. I'd written for Daily Telegraph, the Daily Mirror, done stuff for the BBC.
How old are you at this point?
22, 23. You had to leave at 23. It was from 12-year-olds to 23-year-olds. So by this point, I had to leave. And I had a bank of contacts, connects that I'd done. I had a mentor at the time as well, who was the then editor of a magazine called Dazed and Confused. And he opened me up to the whole space of magazine and that whole industry.
So you're doing this full time at 22, 23. What does it kind of like pay at 22, 23 years
It
old?
didn't pay a lot. It paid enough for me to kind of get by.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I was still living with my mum. Or was I? No, I moved out at 19. So I was living on my own. I did a bit of DJing to kind of like make ends meet. I was playing basketball for Great Britain as well. That brought in a little bit of money, but the writing money wasn't like money, but it was enough to kind of like scrimp and scrape to the next month. But I was making so much good progress as a journalist. My thing wasn't about money. It was about, I want to get an article in the Daily Mirror.
Yeah.
I want to get an article in, do you know what I mean, Touch Magazine. I want to get an article in DJ Magazine sort of thing. So
That's a common theme across writers as well, I've realised as well.
it's the hustle.
It's a common theme around, sorry if I'm using the wrong terminology, but just journalism in general. Because I can't lie to you, this isn't it may sound funny, but it's not a joke, but like when I see people like journalists and I know that journalism doesn't pay a stupid amount of money. So when I see them in like I won't even use war. Let's say a tornado, and you just want to get the story. I'm thinking,
Is it worth it?
This is your passion.
Yes,
it has
well, yeah.
to be. Like, man is going. They said there's a hurricane, and you travel to the hurricane
Yes.
to get a story. Like, it's insane to me, and I just know that it's their passion.
I work in a newsroom where we do what we call hard news, right? So in Channel 4 News, I've got correspondents, Lindsay Hilson, Jonathan Rudman, Porrick O'Brien. Them guys are on the front line in Ukraine. Them guys are going out to Israel. Them guys are going where the war is. They're there. And I often say to myself, like, yo, you gotta really love this thing if that, and they do. They want to tell the stories of what's happening, and they've got families too. They've got families, so they're aware that this could go left very, very easily. They're aware of that, but the need and the want to tell the most important stories for them, it doesn't drive me. I'm happy at Wembley doing the FA Cup final. Do you know what I mean? I'm calm, but for them,
you just need a coat.
No?
You just need a coat.
Just give me man. I'm cool, but for them, and I respect it.
No, but I feel like what we are, like what you did is very uncommon for young people now, because everybody's talking about, I know my worth. And so they feel that they need to get paid for their time and so forth. But what you've done, like you said, you might not get the money, but the experience means that now someone will look at you and say, I want your job. But are they ready to do the 10 years of low pay and hard work and effort to be able to get the experience for someone to now give you the opportunity to get to
100%. And also it's my frustration with a lot of people that do a lot of, YouTubers. And I want to be very clear, I don't denigrate YouTubers at all. Some of my best friends, doing the whole white thing, some of my best friends are YouTubers. and they actually are. And I see the hustle, I see the work ethic, I see the planning that's required. So this is no slight at all on YouTubers. But when I see certain YouTubers, and I work with a lot of them as well, I'm like, you've got a skill set of you know how to make content for a particular audience, get it out quickly and get your views up. That's to be respected, right? But not that I'm better than you, but I've been doing journalism and content creating, if you like, for 25 years now. I'm not new to this. So respect my craft as well. And I think a lot of people look at journals like we're just these old people. I'm not even that old. These old people that just write in newspapers. And I'm like, no, there's a skill. So when you're broadcasting, it's my big frustration. So many presenters now are content creators. I'm like, but you can't broadcast. Broadcasting is a skill. And it takes time to learn how to do that. You can't just but everyone now can be a broadcaster. You just get a mic and a YouTube link and you're good to go. But the skill and the art of telling a story and journalism and researching, and the amount of times I see people, so for example, there was during the Mason Greenwood situation about 6 months ago, a year ago, the amount of YouTubers I saw making comment and saying wild things, I'm like, bro, you know you're libeling yourself, right? Yeah. You know that when you put it on Twitter, if he sees it, he can sue you. But they don't understand that. But that comes from years of understanding how, do you know what I mean? Journalism and broadcasting works.
Yeah, and I think I get that as well. You know, obviously being a financial advisor, and it's funny, I get this all the time. So we'll be online, everyone will call themselves financial advisor, When we go to an event and we meet, and then we're talking to someone, unless I'm talking to someone that calls themselves a financial advisor online, but then a normal person from the public comes over and I say, yeah, I'm a financial advisor. They'll be like, yeah, I'm a financial advisor. Not like Eman, he's a real financial.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, so you know. Because online, apparently we're the same.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
As long as you know.
But you know, the exams I've taken, you haven't taken.
Yeah.
But now, when we're talking online, we're talking the same English. You understand? But in public, you know to tell correct.
What it is.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not E-man's level, and it's like I get it, but I also tell a lot, and it's one of the things that I think is a bugbear for a lot of financial advisors. They get angry about all these financial influencers, but then I tell them, are you prepared to go online and do the work? And they're not. They're happy looking after their 150, 200 high net worth clients, and that will feed them and their family for the rest until they decide to retire. And when they retire, they'll sell that client bank and they're into the night. So somebody has to do the work. So I honestly believe that there's a place for everything. But like you said, respect it. Yeah. Like, don't overstep. Like, you're not a financial advisor. When you now start telling people, oh, you should do this investment or that, now I want to slap you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because even me as a financial advisor, I can't do that. Like what you said, the liable thing, I can't. I'm regulated. I can't go and say something and say, I recommend you do because the FCA will be at my door. I'll be struck off. But you that has no qualification, no regulation, you say what you like and nobody can touch you. But people are really losing money in real life listening to your and you know what I mean. So it's really important that that you know, like you said, you respect the craft because it can be painful.
It is, and it's years of work. I've been doing this for a while, and I as you guys are proving, the cream rises to the top. So even though you have a lot of pretenders and people that are trying to take shortcuts, the people that ultimately know what they're doing generally and normally end up where they're meant to end up. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a hating thing. It just frustrates me that people conflate me with YouTubers. There's nothing wrong with YouTubers, but I do stuff on YouTube, but I'm not a YouTuber. Do you know what I mean?
I want to pick up on 3 things that you said, right? And I think that there's things that people are listening could definitely learn from. So the one key thing that you said is that when you were 13 years old, you knew what your passion was, and you actually, and it sounds simple, but you went and actually approached a magazine that you liked the sound of and say that, I want to write for you guys. Can we do something? And people underestimate how powerful that is in itself. Doing something different, stepping out of your comfort zone. Because if everybody had a passion and was good at it, and then the huge opportunity just came to them, everybody would be getting it.
Totally.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? So sometimes you do have to step out of your comfort zone. So I want you to talk about that a bit. And I think that sometimes in our culture, something that's hindering us as well is the beg thing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And it's crazy. I say all of these things not to be better than everybody else because I was affected by it at some point. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I think the early days starting the Bricks with Tips platform, I kind of didn't want to reach out to people. But when I started having kids, I started saying, bro, I'm reaching out to you because I've got kids. Hey, listen, it's an equal equation. I need to feed them. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's like you literally got to be prepared. So talk to me, where did that actually come from?
That speaks to just, I think, me as an individual. I'm a very proactive person. I'm not on a long thing. I don't wait. If I see something that I want, there's not many things that I do want, but the few things that I do want, I'll go out and get. And I think my approach, even at 13, to be fair, actually, it was also my mum that was like, it was my mum that saw the advert in the South London Press. So she saw it and said, oh, they're looking for young writers, why don't you go along? I was like, yeah, I just took the paper and next day went down there. I remember that vividly as well. And my approach was just, they've got a magazine that, you know, has young people writing for them. I'm a young person that likes to write. Why not? My attitude was, why wouldn't I go there? Do you know what I mean? Why wouldn't I approach them and just say, can I come along and write for you? Like, they need young writers. I want to write. Like, just go along. I'm very confident anyway. Confidence is a big thing for me. So a lot of people don't have the confidence to do that. But I was just like, well, obviously I want to do that because this is what I want to do. And they're going to find me. They're not going to find me. Why would they find me? So I've got to go to them. So my approach has always been, if I see something that I want, I make a beeline and I make it happen.
Yeah, the next thing I wanted to point out is something that's been an underlying theme for this podcast, which is Eman touched on. So I won't go into loads of detail, but it's that working for free.
Yes.
Working for a period where you're building your craft and building connections. Everybody's saying it. We've had some super successful people on here. So don't feel that you've got the value or the skill, but it just definitely means that you're meant to be making thousands straight away. Sometimes there's this period, especially where we live in a visual world nowadays, you got to show what you can do. You can't even just tell nowadays, innit? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I think that's a huge element. But the next thing I want you to talk on a little bit is getting a mentor, because you got that at like 23. How did that help you?
No, this was younger. This was when I first joined. So the whole premise of the magazine was that it skilled up young writers, photographers and designers, the 3 elements of a magazine. So we had professionals from The Mirror, The Guardian, Days of Confused, DJ Magazine, the BBC, and every young person on that magazine got a mentor and was paired up with someone. So in my case, my mentor Callum, just basics of understanding how a magazine works. He'd been doing it for 10 years. Right, you need to understand that we didn't have adverts in our magazine. It was a free magazine. But when you go into the real world, you can't just decide, right, I want to, and I learned this when I left Life to do my next magazine, which was in the shops. You can't just decide I want to have said rapper or said singer or said performer on my front cover. If that record label whose artist that isn't paying you for a 2-page spread in the middle, it doesn't work like that. If you notice, every time you see in a magazine the person on the front cover, there will be a 2-page spread on the back of the magazine or center pull out, because they've spent money. They're paying for their artists to have, do you know what I mean? But I didn't understand that. How do you start an article? How do you end an article? What warrants 1 page versus 2 pages? How important is photography and where that aligns on the page? How do you do an article that is more provocative versus something that's quite jovial and funny? All these things he was teaching me. How to deal with A&Rs, because music was a big part of what our young audience wanted. So how do you have a relationship with all the record labels, Jive and Sony and all the other big mainstream labels? But also, this is when grime just busts. So how do you also on the underground make sure that you're serving that community as well? How do you make sure you get the mix right of jovial and fun and frivolous stuff versus stuff that's actually important? So we had articles, we talked about young brides from the Asian community. We spoke about bullying in schools. So how do you get that mix right of a magazine that serves your audience? And that was the main thing I learned in doing Live magazine. And this is across all journalism and all content creating. Always remember who your audience is. Yeah. And this is what a lot of people don't understand when they criticize certain journalists or publications, because they're not doing what they think they would do. Yeah. It's like, well, no. Their audience might want that. Yeah. It's not for you. Yeah. So a good example is what I do. I don't think I'm a sports journal. I'm what's called a sports news journal. So when I go to a press conference, I'm not there to find out if Raheem Sterling's going to play on the weekend because he's got a hamstring strain. That's your Sky Sports News reporter. That's your BBC reporter. They're there every week getting the football news. I'm there to ask the Chelsea manager about an incident that's to do with corruption or racism or sexism news. Yeah. So when I ask a question, everyone's asking about the weekend game and the cup final. It's all football questions. And I'm like, can you respond to the allegations of blah, 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 blah? People often look at me like, yo, but my audience don't care about Raheem Sterling's hamstring strain. Watch Sky Sports News for that. Yeah. My audience cares about not even a bad thing. It could be Raheem Sterling set up a foundation to help black girls in Brent play football. My audience wants to know about that. Yeah. So it's understanding what does your audience want? Who are you writing to? And stepping into that. So my mentor taught me all these things.
But if you had to put a price on it though, because you just mentioned about 150 different things. Yeah, so you said you said it was free, but if you had to put a price, how much would you have paid to learn all of that?
I don't think.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, because those are the things that have stuck with me. Those are the pillars of me as a journalist. Yeah. I understand when I'm writing an article, right? Is this a serious article or is it a fun article? Is this a hard piece or a bit of a soft piece? Is it for young people or is it for... I understand all those things now, that when it comes to doing a live, wherever it may be, it's not a big thing for me because I know what I'm doing. Yeah. Whereas you said, a person that hasn't gone through all of those years of learning that, they will freak out because it's like they're forgetting all the fundamentals of what you've got to do to be a journalist.
Yeah. Well, it's a good question Eman asked. That period then where you were learning that, you offered your services for free, but obviously that's the pillars of who you are today. So if you had to put a price tag on how much that training should cost, because that training is basically conform someone's lifetime career,
especially at that young of an age, to get an opportunity.
Yeah,
and I smile because you went through that. I think that's why there's Blakademiks.
I was going to say that. That's the
because everything you just said is what I see when I've come on set. Is what I've seen through Blakademiks.
I was going to ask that.
And that's why it's so important. Like when all these youth clubs are closing and all these, the thing is, one of the reasons why I give back is because people gave to me. Like my uncles, they used to come and carry me and take me to different places. And so because of that, I did that for that next generation. And and till this day, I meet young people that are mentored by young people that I mentored. Do you understand? And they would tell them, no, I'm here because Eman did it for me.
Yes.
So that's why they're doing it for someone else. Because sometimes you do stuff, it might look silly. I remember I lived in East London. We go out, I'll drop people in South, North, West, and then drive back to East. And if you don't understand what I've been through and when people used to drop me when everything was in South and they used to drop me in East, and then uncles used to drop me in East and then come back. I am happy to do that for someone else because someone did it for me. And I feel it's the same. Like what you got as a young person helped you want to create the platform Blakademik.
It did. And I took all the learnings of journalism and being a writer and being a reporter, and I translated it into the production company. And look, let's be, I want to be very, very clear. And Francis will tell you, and all my other guys, Nathaniel, Emmanuel, that work behind the cameras and film my stuff for me, they will tell you, I don't know what I'm doing with a camera. Give me a camera. I don't know how to set it up. I don't know what I'm doing with an actual camera. But what I do know is, what is the content we're creating and who is it for? How do we want it to look? Is it traditional or are we going to be a bit quirky with it? Is it going to be 10 minutes or 30 minutes? These are all the questions that I ask myself when I'm producing a content, because they're all kind of similar-ish questions that I would ask myself when I'm doing a live broadcast or I'm writing an article.
And bro, what you don't understand is, like, Bricks, the first time I did this, bruv, the cameras, the lights.
It's proper.
Bruv, it's proper. Even Francis, if I tell you how he was on that day, it was serious. Bruv, this is a Saturday morning in central London.
Face screw focus.
It was focused.
Professional.
Man has his sheet of what we're going to do, what time.
He said he was wearing glasses that day.
It was serious.
Serious.
No smiling, no
Nothing.
breaks.
No break.
Even when we went to just drink a little water.
No, we got time.
We got to
We
go
got
back.
time. We got to go.
We got to go back. And I'm talking, it felt like, and then, so when I have now got TV, I wasn't shook.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you don't know, like, do you understand? So even for someone like myself, it gave me my first exposure to television production and what that looks like. Do you know what I mean? Because you have a standard of excellence.
And that's really important. I'd love to kind of take a step back and just kind of explain where Blakademik came from. Just before I do that, that's so good, because that was also that's that phrase, a standard of excellence. At some point was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because the way I like to do stuff, I like to do it properly. So the amount of people, I remember, and Francis behind the camera can tell you, some of our first couple seasons, I remember there was on season 2, we did a few shows where, no word of a lie, we had 9 cameras on set. And someone, I've forgotten what show it was, somebody said to me, one of our guests said to me, Jordan, there's 9 cameras here. And they said to me, X Factor doesn't even have 9 cameras. Why have you got 9 cameras? But for me, I felt I wanted to get every possible shot, every angle. It was excessive. It didn't need 9 cameras. But I have a certain way and a level of I want to do things. And people always say to me, look at so-and-so's YouTube channel. That's 2 phones, that's 1 camera. And he's got bare views. And I'll be like, that's fine, but it looks awful. Now, I might have significantly less views than that person, but I can't put out a product that doesn't look good. Yeah. That speaks to why I set up Blakademik, which if I could just explain very briefly where it came from. So this was around the time of kind of Brexit, the back end of Brexit, but it was also at a time when a lot of prominent white men on television, so your Piers Morgans, your Lawrence Foxes, your Nigel Farages, your Nick Ferraris, were talking with chess. I remember the time there was a big discussion around this epidemic of knife crime, and it's all black boys' fault. Oh, it's because there's no dads in the home, rare tear. And I got really angry with it. And it was also at the time when the Channel 4 News, we do a thing called a disco, short for discussion. So we don't just do a news segment, we do a news segment and then we'll go to the studio. And then Christian or then Jon Snow will have a chat in the studio like this with a guest or two to unpack the VT you've just seen a bit further. Every time we did a subject on anything to do with politics, finance, history or science, invariably the guests would be white men. Anything to do with sports, entertainment, fried chicken, or serious things like knife crime, the guests were always black. I said to myself, why is it always when we do these subjects, the guests are black? In my circles, I know black doctors, lawyers, business leaders. I know all these. What I know a pilot. Why are these people not on Channel 4 News? So I said, you know what? I'm not a complainer. My girlfriend would disagree, but I'm not a complainer. I don't moan. So I want to do my own show, and that's where It's All Blakademik was born. I wanted to do a chat show where I invited black people on to talk about issues that were affecting us. And look, we can disagree. So if we thought that the issue of knife crime was a black boy problem, which it never was, but if we thought that, let's have that chat amongst ourselves. Yeah. I don't need Piers Morgan to tell me rubbish about rubbish. So that's where It's All Blakademik was born. We did 8 seasons of that. That was a big success. But it was also about showing, a friend of mine had a kid at the time, had a baby. And for me, it was like, I want your daughter, when she's 18 years old, to look at a show like this and it to be normal to see black women doctors on the screen, to see a black presenter with dreadlocks on the screen, to see a finance man, to see a property man, that to be normal. Stormzy and Sterling are phenomenal young men in what they do. They are phenomenal young men, but we're more than that. We are more than that. And I wanted young black people to see that. At the time, there was a whole heap of shows that were coming out that I just thought were just not serving our community well. And I want them to see excellence, not only in production, but also in the content they were seeing. And even now, there's programs I see that are being made by our people that I'm like, it makes me really sad. It makes me really sad.
But you also gave people opportunity, right? So
Yeah.
you gave people, there are loads of people that I speak to now where that was their first chance to be behind the
Yes.
camera as well as in front of the
Yes.
camera. So where did that come from? That kind of mentorship, that kind of opportunity?
Just so I've always mentored. Like, even to this day, I'm mentoring 19 different kids across different organisations at the moment.
You made me feel bad.
No. And that's
bread.
I'm not trying to show off.
19. That's a school.
I think it's 19.
That's on class.
It's a class, yeah. That's across different organisations. But I'm just very big on, I'm in the dance. I want to make sure you're here. So when I retire, it's normal to see black men and women in a newsroom. It's normal to see black women and men behind the camera. It's normal to see black financial advisors and property experts. It's normal. That's what I'm trying to do the work now. And some of them won't go down that route, but I'm just trying. So it's important to me to just bring people in. So I like bringing people in, not for my ego, because I don't get anything out of it. If anything, it costs me time and money and effort, but I don't mind making that sacrifice if it means in 10 years time I can look at the industry and see, cool, I see more people that look like me doing their thing.
But tell us the truth. What's Channel 4 really like?
You guys, you tell me.
You work for Channel 4.
They tried it. They tried it. But I caught them out. They both worked there as well. So don't try it.
We're different. You in there. You're an employee.
When you say that, but actually, I'm Channel 4 News. We're ITN, so really, you're more Channel 4 than me. So, like,
No, that's true. He's IT.
I'm ITN.
Yeah, I know he's ITN. I don't agree with we're more Channel 4 than
Nah,
you.
you're on
You're
there.
employed by the
We
channel.
We dabble.
You dabble.
In and out.
Listen.
As even needed.
Channel 4 is great. They didn't pay me to say that. Channel 4 is a really great network to work for many reasons, but the whole I'm in line with their ethos of what they want to produce as a television network, right? Don't get me wrong, there are some shows on Channel 4 that I think are foolish and often harmful to black people. So I will say that from the gate. But generally, I'm really for the progressive elements to what they put out, and they're risk takers. I'm a risk taker. They take risks, and sometimes they bomb. Sometimes they bomb. Let's be honest. There's some bombs out there, but more often than not, I think they get it right.
But if you look at the black community now, most black people that are on, that are celebrities now, have come, like presenters and so forth, have come through Channel 4. Like, because it's just a breeding ground. It just gives opportunity.
Well, it's their remit. Their remit is to be different and diverse. So it's actually in the contract of what they're meant to do. They by their contract, they have to be diverse. So that means making sure their content reflects people from the LGBTQ, people who are black, people who are disabled, people who are working class, etc., etc. So they have to do that. And I think more often than not, they get that right. And you're examples of that, both of you.
So it seems like Blakademik has kind of slowed down. What is that? And again, I feel like, for example, if you did that in America, we would have got funding from the community. We would have raised money and did it. Why is it? What is it about us here?
I'll be real.
What is it?
I want to hear this.
So I've often heard from many people that came on our show, that seen what we were trying to do when we were up and running in the early years, and they've said to me, "Yo, if this was in the States, you would blow, because people would not only migrate to the platform, they would understand it and they would support it, whether it's a subscription or even and by clicking to subscribe, or funding, they would support it in some way." Yeah. I'm like, cool, that's probably true. But there's also a bigger demographic of black people in the States, so you've got a bigger market to kind of initially get into your to your platform. I pivoted away from content. We've kind of gone back to it now, but we pivoted away from making content for our own platform because for two reasons. One, it just became very expensive. It was completely my outlay. I've never had a funder, never had an investor, never had a sponsor. I ain't got a rich mummy and daddy. Every single show you saw on Blakademik was financed by me. Just me. I want to be very clear on that, like just me. And I did that for so long because it wasn't really, I didn't mind taking a loss, because the bigger goal was I want to make an impact amongst black people. So I want to put black faces on screen. I want to put black people behind the camera, and I want to have a narrative that goes away from we're just footballers and rappers. I think to some degree we achieved that. But one, I'm not rich, right? So I can't pay for it, for forever. But the other reason was, and I could be wrong here, I wasn't quite sure if Black Britain was ready to embrace a platform that was being blackety black. And that disappointed me, but you have to make peace with that fact. Now, I'm humble enough to accept there's a possibility that I didn't do it right. Maybe I didn't do it right. I'm open to that possibility. That is, I'm not arrogant to say that I did it right and why didn't you support me? That's not what I'm here to say. But I just got the sense that, and I look at what other people are watching and the content they are consuming, and I'm like, oh, so you like that sort of content? You like that sort of production company and outlet? Cool. And I got a bit disheartened by that. So we then pivoted into becoming a production company. Because what I realized was after about a year or two working with Francis and these lot, I was like, it's the same crew I'm using. Why don't I just formalize that and make that a production company? And then we now work with Netflix, we've worked with LinkedIn, we've worked with FIFA, we've worked with some really big brands as well as up and coming content creators as well. So, but now we're actually pivoting back into making content, sort of thing. So the reason why we slowed down was just because I read the room.
I hear you, and I agree to a certain degree, but I think also we should have done the funding. We should have done a raise. We should have done it. And I think this time you going back, I think once you pick up, I think that's something that we should do. Well, we should do it. I know you did a subscription and people could. Yeah. People could. I remember people could, but I think we should do a raise because I feel like we're more ready now.
Yeah,
I think we are ready to have our narrative, control the narrative of how we are put out there. Do you know what I mean? Because there was. I never forget, there was one thing where you were talking about, I think it was about contraception. And there was these two women talking about contraception or something. And I remember thinking to myself, is these doctors or women, talking about.
Was that the COVID one?
I think COVID.
Yeah, COVID. And the jab.
The jab,
yes.
Exactly.
So it was COVID, not contraception.
Bro. I knew it was
I don't remember that show.
He said, I knew it was. You know it was a what?
I've done a lot of shows.
There was something
I remember that one.
It was
COVID and contraception.
It was something. It was close enough, bro. This is 2024. You know, we took it.
What's 2020?
4 years ago.
Oh, global pandemic versus contraception.
Bro, I knew it was something.
And listen, I've known Eman long enough to know. I was just about. If anybody else, I've done the whole polite thing of like, yeah, I remember that one. These I'm thinking, I don't remember that one, bro. I don't remember that one.
But I just remember the conversation. And I remember that made me take the jab.
Okay.
It made me make a change.
Sorry, I can't. So if it was contraception, what were you going to say?
If
you were corrected, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that
made me.
It made my missus take contraception. I've gone mad. Proper gone. Bro,
you would have finished it. I should have let him.
You know, your mind can tell you whatever it wants to remember. However it wants to remember it, will remember the past. However it wants to remember
that
it.
video that made me say it. The fourth kid would be the last.
Trust me. But it was basically talking about from a black point of view, how it's important and how we need to understand it. And no channel, there's nothing I could watch in the news or anywhere that could speak to me in that way on a platform I could trust, that I knew had our best interests at heart.
And that was the whole point. It was whether we disagreed or agreed with the guests that were on the show.
Yeah,
that's up to you.
Some mad guests.
We had some wild guests on for sure. But whether you agreed or disagreed with the guests, hopefully, as a consumer of the show, what you knew you were getting was, I trust the show. So I don't agree with my man, but if they've got him on, he must have some credibility in what he's saying, sort of thing. So the fact that that was the ethos of the show, impact. We want to make an impact, and it made an impact.
And then even networking, like going to events and meeting people like Nelson, who now literally Nelson is on radio fighting for us.
Yes.
On there. I don't know if you saw about the person that sent the monkey emoji.
Yes.
And ended up in.
He's got an event. I don't know if it's coming out, but he's got an event coming out very soon actually about P. Diddy. But he's done a lot of great work, and
but I met him through these platforms, and that's what I'm saying. It's not just the content. It's now when we get in a room, we can discuss, we can debate, we can network, we can bounce off each other.
We can disagree, but we do it on our terms, in a safe space.
But I never would have met Nelson, and he's someone that I admire. Yes. Again, Francis, I never would have met Francis. People, these are black people that I can look around and say, okay, I'm not, because you have to understand, in your day to day, you're told you're a unicorn. Do you understand? Like, you're so different. There's no one like you. But you come into an environment like Blakademiks, and because you're bringing so many, anyone, you don't have to be famous. It's just know your stuff, and you can come on and share your voice. All of a sudden, you realize, no, we are talented. There's better of us. It's just because we're in our own lane, and because especially this London life, you don't even know your neighbour, let alone know the next man. So it's just vital as a community as well as a movement. So thank you for doing it, and we definitely need to get it going.
We're going to try and get it going again, because there's ways of doing it, not to the scale that I did it before, because I went big. I went way too big. I can see Francis nodding over there. We went too big, but I was ambitious. But there's a way of doing it and making good, high quality, impactful content that doesn't have to cost £1 million. Do you know?
Facts. Jordan, when people come on this pod, we like to get them to talk about what the people them are talking about. So we want to get your insights on a little bit of money. So we kind of find out what's going on in the timeline.
Before you shoot, can I just say I'm massively out of my comfort zone here, because let me tell you why. Because money is not something that it might have been you, but someone told me a couple of years ago to not ever say I'm not good with money, because it's like a self-fulfilling. Even if you're not good with money, don't say it.
It was definitely me.
It was you. Everyone can be good with money, so get that out of your head. So I'm not going to say I'm not good with money, but my relationship with money and finances hasn't always been particularly great. Okay,
That's exactly what.
So I'm here because I want to take in.
Eman's here.
Good, as long as you know.
Eman's here. Don't worry, he's straight in front. But this one's light anyway.
Cool.
So there wasn't much of the time now, but they're talking about today, and I think this is quite good because you work with young people, and sometimes I don't. And Eman and I got a passion for helping young people, and I don't know what they're up to nowadays, and I don't know how things are going. So sometimes I can only get insight from the timeline. So what I'm hearing from the timeline nowadays is that they're expecting young men, right? The expectancy now apparently is £400 dates for like 21 to 23-year-old young men.
Pardon, sorry.
I swear to you, 400. That's what they were talking
For
about.
the date?
Yeah, for the date.
Is that including Uber, or is that just the restaurant?
Just the restaurant. Just the restaurant.
I'm glad I got a girlfriend right now. So I'm glad that I'm taken, because boy, £400.
When you got a girlfriend, then you'll be with a girlfriend long enough. You can bring out the voucher, broad day.
Come on,
50% off.
I'll cook. Voucher, I'll cook.
£400 dates is the thing is, yeah. The reason why I think it's nuts, yeah, is it's nuts. It's not about what I think, but it's nuts in general, because at that time, and I don't want to use the term, but dating is shopping around. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yes. You might not meet that person ever again, so you're gonna have to slap another £400 on, if that's the expectancy anyway.
So there's context. So on the face of it, yes, that is wild. As a central premise, spending £400 on a date is wild. Okay, it's crazy. But the context, I would say, just to kind of add a bit of an interesting layer to it, is the context not A, what is that £400 being spent on, and B, is £400 to that man a lot of money?
That's very true. But we're talking about the thing is,
person.
So the statement was made generally. So it was made that £400 for a day is the expectancy. I think there was a little bit of discourse around it's long when you're no longer with a guy that is doing higgity hagger. And now you have to settle for a 9 to 5, and they can't pay for the £400 dates. And I think it's one of those things where it's £400. Are we finding people trying to rise to a £400 per date level on a normal wage? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
If you live your life for the timeline on Twitter, then yeah, you'll get sucked into the thinking that
but
actually that's normal. That's not normal.
It sounds crazy saying like that, but there are people that live to these standards made up on Twitter.
No, I don't deny that. My question also is, what's costing £400? So unless you're getting a £200 bottle of wine, Uber, cup to maybe a party, the dinner, what's costing £400? The only thing that costs the biggest expense, I'd imagine, in that date is the wine or is the champagne.
Fam, they're doing a few joys. I've got this theory. Yeah. When things get very expensive, yeah, in order to confuse you, they start making the product worse. So like, you know, with food, yeah, the expensive restaurants, yeah, you pay £400, they give you like a leaf and then sprinkle some cement on it or something like that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's the same thing with like clothes. Like you got people like Balenciaga doing things that they got a high-vis construction jacket and they're selling it for 1,200. Like at those points, you just get ridiculous and tell people, yeah, pay for this basically.
Yeah, they're mocking you. So I don't know what a £400 date is consisting of. I'm genuine. I think the most I spent on a date. What's the most you spent on a date? I think once I spent 150, 170, something like that. And it was like expensive meal. That's Ubers, entry to a party, and drinks all night. But that's like the top end. I did that once. I did that once, and I was in my feelings, and I was young, and I was doing a mad thing then. But £400 is more than double that. What, you guys look stunned. You guys are looking at each other like, what?
No, I got a wife, so I know. I've spent a madness.
Okay, cool. I wanted to see where you're at.
That's low. You said that's low.
That's bro.
I've spent a madness.
Oh, shame. I got the way around.
I spent literally 398 on the weekend. There was a set menu.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But remember,
I thought you looked at me like, that's a lot, bro.
I got 2 kids as well, so it's a thing whereby man can't always go on a date, so it's building up in it.
Yeah, of course.
So when you finally get out, I can't really just.
Hang on, date night with your wife or date like pre-marriage?
No, man.
Wife.
What do you mean pre-marriage, man?
That's not with my wife.
That's with my wife, man.
That's all right then.
Before my wife, we used to go Nando's. It was
what?
No. Nando's was a big deal.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I thought you meant that on your girlfriend or your wife now when you were dating.
Man's always used these top tables and these things.
Yeah. Open table. Wait for when the discount drops. The hot period. Hot UK deals.
Come on, man's gone there, but man now with wife. Oh, man's gone hotel. Just some of the hotels is £400 for a night.
Oh wow! I get that.
And that just includes breakfast. I said, bro.
But the man that was spending £400 though on a date,
young people on a date.
It's also guys with no game.
Yeah.
If you're spending that much money, it's to compensate for that you've got no game. You got no game. If you can talk to a woman, if you can entertain a woman, if you can intellectually engage a woman, and you can look presentable and decent without having high brand stuff on you, you don't need to spend. You can do it £50. We can go. You can go for a Nando's and give her a good.
There's correlations in that. Like the people that are are funny, or the people that have like got game. They've always had the chats in school. They tend to get what they want without having to abide by all of these rules that people say.
If you're spending £400 on a woman that's not your woman, you're lacking somewhere. Lacking.
All right, then, my bro. We tend to wrap up with your W and L of the. Oh no! In your case, it'll be your career, just so people get to see
your biggest win
highs
and your biggest loss.
And the lows of what this and look, you're not making you might not be able to recall everything right now, but what you can recall, what is the high and the low? Let people know what this thing really consists of.
Okay, can I have 3 highs, 3 quick highs, 3 quick ones? So the first high would be presenting for Channel 4 at the 2018 Russia World Cup. So as any football or sports reporter will tell you, the pinnacle of your career is trying to get to a World Cup and report. Same for players playing at World Cups. Same with reporters. To be reporting at a World Cup is like, wow, I'm actually at a World Cup talking about football. I'm blessed. My job is like, I've got the best job in the world. I think I get to travel the world and talk about sport.
Crazy.
Like I get paid for that. Like I'm not a heart surgeon. I'm not saving lives out here. I get to talk about footballers and do that. So that for me was a professional high.
That wasn't a viral moment when people were bouncing behind you when you had the camera?
No, that was as a Man City Champions League game. I was working for a foreign network and I was doing a live in the corner. And I didn't realise, but as I'm doing my live, or getting ready for my live,
everyone turned their back. And they're doing that. You know that dance they're doing it.
And the Man City, it was the Man City players were all kind of behind me so where France is, this camera here, I'm doing a live there, and the corner flag's right there. Behind Francis is where the Man City fans were positioned. So I'm doing my live. So I'm just focusing. Coming up behind me are the Man City players to applaud the fans.
Yeah.
But on the camera, it looks like they're applauding me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do this. So it made me look good, basically. Second one is Blakademik, and I'm very, very proud that there's been so many. And I don't call L's losses, I call L's learnings, right? Yeah. There's been so many L's that haven't gone my way in Blakademik. I've had to learn the hard way many times. But it's my proudest achievement because I created it from nothing. And I've impacted people. Yeah. And that's what I want to do. I want to impact people. I want to impact black people, but everyone. I want to impact people. And we've got like 300 shows across different platforms on Blakademik, which I'm very proud of. And I'm just very proud of Blakademik. We've got some big plans to make it go to the next level as well. And the third one it might sound a little bit pithy and a bit, worthy than thou, but I'm very proud of the young people that I work with, and I'm very proud of the opportunities that I've given to other people. There's an element of ego in that for sure, because have you seen that Friends episode where Phoebe and I know. Anyway, I don't even know why I said that. You know what? I did that on another podcast, and people looked at me like, Friends? Like, rags. I used to like Friends. There's an episode where Joey, one of the characters, and Phoebe, one of the characters, one of
the characters is so funny. Man knows the characters.
Okay, so I'll chat to you.
I know the characters.
All right. And there's episode. Frost is laughing. There's one episode where they disagree about whether it's possible to do something thankless. And they disagree about this. Phoebe tells Joey it's not possible to do something that's giving without you getting some level of pleasure from it as well. And Joey has to prove that actually it is true. Anyway, so the reason why I reference that is because there's an element of me feeling good about what I'm doing for sure. I'm not going to deny and say, oh no, I get nothing from it. No, I do feel good. But the majority of the feeling, I hope, is with the people that I'm helping and the young people that I see when I go out and about. Like, oh yeah, I'm working for so and so, and I'm like, listen, don't thank me, bro. That was your work. That was you. I just gave you I just opened the door. You've done the work, and I get a big sense of pride from seeing young people working in industry. I've one person I met who's not even working in the industry anymore, but he's doing something elsewhere. That's equally fine for me. Media may not be for you. May not be for you, but as long as you found what is for you, I'm happy. Those are my three biggest achievements. Do 1L. Oh, God, one learning. I don't really have an example, but it would be patience. I'm a big believer now in patience and timing. Things happen when they're meant to happen. And if I could go back 10, 20 years, because the way that I'm wired, I'm very like, let's do it. I'm not really a great thinker, but I'm a doer. I get stuff done. I'm an action man. I'm not on a long thing. But if I could go back 10 years and even start Blakademik again, I would be a little bit more patient. Things will happen when they're meant to happen. You haven't got to do it all today. Just have a plan, have good people around you, and execute. So if there's one learning from my life, it would be patience. There's no rush. There's no rush.
Bro, we've loved having you on.
I love being here,
like
man.
We've just been at a crib, just chilling.
Chatting, man.
Just chilling.
Where's the food at? You know what I mean?
It's been a blessing, my bro. Seriously, thank you for coming.
You guys are the blessing to me, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bread and Butter podcast.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite part was. Probably me and contraception. I'm already ready for the comments on that.
And we'll see you in the next one, people.